Chinese, I want to welcome you again. Continue my last video, as I suggested, and I want to bring that up in the screen. It says that if we were, and again, these are all dependent on once we can change the oil contract. Now, there are many who says it cannot be done. We need to recognize that in opposition, both the vice president and then running for president, President Ali did indicate that everything is on the table. What did that mean? I don't know, but they'll have to explain what they mean by that. It appears as though they said they will do other things outside of the contract, but the contract itself apparently now is not negotiable according to them. I beg to differ, and many Guyanese also think that way, but we'll have to see what you, the people of Guyana, will determine the way of the future. If you re-elect President Ali and the PPP, then that's it. The PNC has done a terrible job. The coalition, they're not fit to come back into office. So the PNC is not ready, the coalition is not ready. The PPP says one thing in opposition, in government they're saying something else. You, the people, decide you want to continue the PPP and the PNC, it's up to you. I know we have a two-party state in most countries of the world. There's a two-party state. If we want to continue that, then you, the Guyanese people, determine that, not me. I only one part of hundreds of thousands. So what I'm saying is this, and if we want this to change, and if we want to see this happening, my friends, it can happen. It's not that it's written in stone. It's not that Exxon are people who do not reason. Of course, they're great bargainers. And you got to give Exxon credit for that. They're master of this game. We are not. So they will come back to the table if they're, we can ask them first. If they don't want to come back, then we need to force them to come back. How do we have to force them? Well, we know there's a million ways to skin a cat. But I'm not getting to that in this video. But what I'm saying is that if we were to get 60% of the revenue, that will give us $21 billion a year. That is only on 1.2 million barrels a day. If we start to increase that to 2 million barrels, 3 million barrels, you see what I'm talking about. The revenue will just skyrocket. But let's say 11 billion barrels, we are doing 1.2 million barrels a day. That will give us 21 billion with 60% revenue. Now with that, I had proposed that we do 1 billion of that to put aside for insurance protection. And I explained that in my last video. I don't want to rehash that. And I'm saying also that we need to give each family in Guyana, each Guyanese household, at least some money from that revenue. Now, looking at today's newspaper in the Stabroek News, Mr. G.K. Lal brought out a very, very pertinent question. And he's asking Stabroek News not to continue publishing that weekly report on interviewing household on the cost of living. Because on the one hand, we are boasting of a GDP that is on top of the world, yet every week in the newspaper, we are reading so many Guyanese are struggling to make ends meet. How can you reconcile the two? I don't know. You, the people of Guyana, will decide that, not me. And when we speak of these things, we are called anti-government and we are called everything in the book. You can call us what you want, but the people of Guyana will make their decision. If you want, again, re-elect President Ali and the PPP, that's a choice. That's your choice. Whoever you want to elect, is up to the people of Guyana. I'm saying that there's much more we can do if we go beyond this box we're putting ourselves in. The horizon, is like a frog in a hole. He thinks that was the world. When the rain fell and the water went into the pool and he came up to the top of that well, then he realized that the world is much bigger than he thought it is. So let us come out of that narrowness that we are thinking of, that, once the PPP says this, that is it. There's nothing we can do. Well, that's not true, not in this world we live in. Okay, so I went through this again. All Guyanese family need to have some money from our oil. Now, someone suggested, oh, based on what we have in the fund is not enough to do that. And you're absolutely correct, because what we have in the fund is pittance compared to what we should have. And of course, I'm calling Mr. Trotman. Please, sir, you can be a hero in this game if you can come out to tell us on what condition that contract was signed. And if the court of law can prove that the conditions under which that was signed is, contrary to contract law, it's likely that that contract can be deemed null and void. I mean, we went to court on election, and the court ruled that the election had to be do over because of use of ID card. So why do we think that some terms or some of the conditions under which we signed that contract cannot be contested? I don't know. Mr. Trotman, you're the attorney. Please help us here. So this is what I suggested. I think every household should get some money from our oil, whether it's 3,000 US a year or 4,000 or 5,000, that can be worked out. And then we put funds into the sovereign wealth fund. How much goes into that? Again, that's something that we should look at. What I want to talk about now is that if we were to have 21 billion and we take away 1 billion for insurance, and then we take 900 million for distribution to each household, and 2.4 billion for sovereign wealth fund, we will have, if with 1 million barrels, we'll have $13 billion. With 1.2 million barrels, we'll have 16.7 billion. That is if I do, in this case, 21 billion, take away 1 billion for insurance coverage, take away 900,000 for distribution to every household, 2.4 billion for the sovereign wealth fund, then we have 16.7 billion for economic development. If we do 4,000 per household and we spend 1.2 billion for that, and 4,000 go to the sovereign wealth fund, 3.2 billion, we have 15.6 billion still available after we take out of course the 1 billion insurance. If we do 5,000 per household, 1.5 billion is spent. 5,000 each person is sovereign wealth fund. That's 4 billion. So we still have 14 billion available for economic development. The first thing I will do, fellow Guyanese, is look at our wages. So we estimate that we have about 57,000 public service employees. That is the military, the police, the civil service, everybody that works for the government, the region, you name it and it's there. So about 57,000. If our minimum wage can go up to 36,000 US dollars a year, which is 3,000 US dollars a month, and some will get 1,000, some will get 2,000, some will get 3,000, some will get more than 3,000. It depends on your skills and your, what you can do. So minimum wage, in my view, should be at least 1,000 US dollars a month, which is 200,000 Guyana dollars. If we can do that, and I average based on the different levels in the civil public service, the police, the army, and every other branch of government, average 36,000 a year, that will be a really great boost to our economic life. Our whole standard of living will automatically change. We will be able to live a life that is free from poverty and so on. If you look at Plastic City in Villian Hoop there, and we see how people live. And I'm coming to that in my next video, but today I want to end this video by saying that if we can get $21 billion in revenue on 1.2 million barrels a day, we put aside 1 billion for insurance protection, and the insurance and the oil company put into that fund $1 billion as well. At the end of the, when our oil is finished, the wells are dried up, they are all properly covered, And we have seen into this paper too what the oil company is doing here in the US. They're trying to abscond on that. What do you think they do to us? So this fund here will ensure all those things are done, that the wells are recapped and is protected and so on. And then when that is done, then the difference in the fund goes both to the government of Guyana and to the oil companies, 50-50. Then we do distribution to each household. Now, I am also suggesting that this be done through our taxes. So every Guyanese will be required to file taxes. That will be a condition. So there is no room for corruption. We have seen what happens when you give cash grants out to people. There's room for massive corruption. And I'm sure there is corruption there. The poor Auditor General and his staff only have so many people. They can't monitor it. Maybe they need to do a sample. I'm not that they're doing it or not, with all this payout we are doing. Select at random 100 persons. Go to their home, match their signature, ensure they're the same person, get their ID card, And if one of the 100 is fraudulent, then we have a problem. And I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying those are things, when you pay cash handout or cash grants, there's room for massive corruption. And I'm saying for us to give this household, we need to start getting everyone in Guyana to file taxes. Here in the US, everything is done through your tax return. If the government, for the COVID, the government gave cash grants to people, it comes through their tax filing. So that's how you get it. So I'm saying that we need to now start that process, that every Guyanese, so maybe the GRA will open local office in every community, all the NDCs, and work with the people, not to, push them aside or say, oh, I got you, but work with them so that each person who work can file their tax return, and they should file the tax return. Not that we want to collect tax, but the record is there. So if we get into this process where we can give 300,000 households, some payout from our oil resource, then we do that through the tax system. And that will be a way where the possibility of corruption will be minimized. Now, there might be a little corruption there as well, but it's not as much as if you give a cash grants out. So this is part of my take today. So 21 billion a year, 1 billion goes to the insurance protection. We pay out household. We put funds into the sovereign wealth fund, and we now use that funds to start pay our public servants better. And once we start paying public servants better, now we'll demand that that they get qualified. We don't want students coming out of high school to go to work in the public service. Let them go get qualified. We need qualified people. So once they're qualified, they come in, they can start with a better salary. We need to start a test going, public service exam. This thing about patronage to your supporters and so on must stop. I don't care which party you support. If you want to work in the public service, you must be competent. And one of the ways to select the best people is to do a public service exam. Every category exam is done, and those who do well are at the top, and they are called for interview. I don't care what your ethnicity, who party you support, whatever you are. Once you do well, we need meritocracy now in Guyana, and this might be a way to start that. So my fellow Guyanese, with 36,000 average US per year, 57,000 employees, that will be $2 billion US, and that will come from these funds here that is available after we would have paid out household distribution and funds in the sovereign wealth fund and also the insurance protection. So my next video, I will talk about the further distribution of our cash if we were, we were able to get Exxon to come to the table and to negotiate or rewrite that contract. So until the next time, take care, and I'll see you in my next video.